we were the first ones in the congregation, other than the pastor seeking committee, to hear him preach. We had heard that he was coming in April. We were going to be on a big trip, which is not unusual for the Stansberrys. And so we went down to Chula Vista and actually heard him preach in his church prior to ours. And that was a lot of fun to do.
We tried to come in incognito, but the choir spotted us immediately and came down out of the choir loft to talk to us and find out if we were new members or looking for a church or whatever. And they blew our cover. So Bob knew we were there from Carson City, but that was fun to go down and see him in action.
Our daughter, Mary Burge, was on the selection committee for the pastor when Bob and Jen were hired, and she was responsible for taking on a tour of the area, and one of the things she found out was that they liked to hike.
Jen and Bob, and Don and I, and Mary, Mary, we all went to Yosemite, to Tuolumne Meadows. That, again, I had the GoPro, he had the camera, Mary was doing all these talking and presenting, and it was a great hike. We got back about 4 o'clock, our car wouldn't start, and we were stranded up there for hours. And fortunately, Bob and Jen had their car, and they got us home at 10 o'clock at night. Don and I had to go back the next day to work out the car problem, and Bob would not go with us. He said, "I'm done." Yeah. And we don't blame him. Anyway, it was such a joy. We had so much fun.
When I think about Bob Davis, I have some very fond memories. But the thing that comes to mind about Bob is what a great encourager he was. To me, personally, but I think to most everyone at the church. And the one expression that I think about when I think about Bob that always makes me smile is, "You got this."
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go up on that pulpit a few times, and Bob was a catcher in baseball at college. I just had this idea before the sermon was that I remembered that Bob gave the signals in baseball, so I started harassing him a little bit. He was sitting there, and I said to him, Pastor Bob used to be a catcher, and he gives me signals. How long I could go, he gives me the 2, 5, get out, all of that. So Pastor Bob stood up, and I wondered, what's he standing up for? He said, "You're out."
My memory of Bob is just how unbelievably empowering he was, and how he was always so positive and subtle about setting us up to be better workers for Christ and really live in the word of Christ to glorify God. I've just never been around anyone who was so good at that. And he just had such a gift.
We started talking about the old sanctuary, and it was started out as kind of a construction kind of discussion about bricks and how we might go about doing this. And it finally, we talked about what that facility could be used for in the future. And that's really where Bob shined in my eyes. He had a vision of where we might go as a church, and we started talking about, well, we could do this there. We could have that kind of service. It's just the more we talked, we were bouncing these ideas back and forth, and we both got so excited. And to see the glow in his eyes, and I don't know what I looked like, usually a mess. But anyway, it was just this warm feeling of the excitement and the thought of that sanctuary.
On Monday mornings, Bob would always be up at the communion table. He would just have a light coming down on him, and he was sitting there praying for us, writing notes to people in the church. And it was so interesting to me and so soothing in some respects to watch him praying over our church. And some days, it was interesting, some days he would be just all calm and, up there writing his notes, no big deal. And other days you could tell he was wrestling with some thought or with some issue in his prayers to God for our congregation.
So I walked into the office one day and I was wearing this shirt, and he's a sports guy. So he saw it and he goes, "Well, what's the 3 for?" And I went, "It's theological, the Trinity." He goes, "I can't argue with that." So this last little clip that you're going to see of Bob is the sort of thing we would razz each other about. And it just gives me the giggles to watch him doing what he's doing as he sets up for a shot. I hope you enjoyed as much as I do.
Three, two, one. Good morning. Holy crap, what's today's date? Today's the 9th. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Right? 2, 1. Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 9th. My name is Bob Davis. I'm here in the sanctuary of First Presbyterian Church, Carson City, and it is good to be with you today. These are our midweek announcements. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to report that we're able to live stream so that those of you who are at home can worship along with us right at the same time at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings. We're not there yet, but we're close. So, again, those are our midweek announcements. Take care. God bless.